TMZ Live, Harvey Levin here.
I'm Elex Michaelson, filling in for Charles on loan from Fox 11 Los Angeles.
On loan?
On loan, I guess. I don't know. Good to be with you, Harvey.
It's great having you here. I am fascinated by the mystery around Gene Hackman's death. It is a tragic, tragic death. Although he was 95, just the circumstances here to see him, his wife, his dog, dead, and not just dead, but for days, maybe even weeks. What happened in that house? It is a mystery, and we can't unravel this because a lot is going to be told by the autopsy findings. But there are theories. Before we get into the theories, Sheriff Mendoza from Albuquerque gave an update this morning. Nothing definitive, but here's what he had to say.
It's very difficult to put a timeline together, even with the help of the Office of the Medical Investigator, just based on their body and other evidence on the body. It appears several days, possibly even up to a couple of weeks.
So they were mummified.
Yeah, talking there with Savannah Guthrie from the Today Show. They were mummified, and this idea of them at that house, that there was one dog that died, but then two other dogs lived that were there at the house with them.
One of which was inside.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't feel like, you know, they've talked early on. In fact, we broke a story that the family thought it was it might have been carbon monoxide, but that doesn't seem to be where the evidence is leading. They found no trace of it. They had the gas company come out.
But the thing that might lead to the idea of carbon monoxide is if they really were there for weeks and the carbon monoxide thing had happened weeks ago and then a door opened or something else.
Why didn't the dog that was inside die as well?
Right. I mean, that would be the question that would potentially disprove that, unless the dog was inside or got outside, or, you know, I don't.
It seems odd.
Yeah.
It seems odd. But again, they found no gas leak. But anything's possible, they said. They've done an autopsy. They're doing a toxicology right now, which could take 6 to 8 weeks. So we may not know what the final answer is here. If they find it,
right,
for a long time, I do think, though, there are clues.
And let's talk about what they did find inside the house. That's new information today. So these were items taken in the search. There was thyroid medication, blood pressure medication, Tylenol, and MyQuest records, but don't necessarily tell you anything just looking at that. Not surprising that a 95-year-old would have some medications in the house, but there are questions potentially about the pills and why were pills on the floor by the wife in the bathroom. That is an important clue.
That is, I think, the critical clue. That you have Gene Hackman in the near the kitchen with his sunglasses that had apparently fallen off his head as he fell to the ground. So it feels like there's something very sudden that happened to him. That he was either coming in or going out, and then he collapses. And then the wife is in the bathroom with pills scattered all over the place. So we've been talking about various theories here, but we want to bring somebody in who has done this kind of detective work because she is a detective herself.
Yeah, we're talking about Nanette Toosby, a former LAPD detective for 25 years. She joins us now. Welcome to TMZ Live. Nanette, walk us through what's probably happening behind the scenes right now in terms of how you would attack this investigation as a detective.
Absolutely. As Harvey mentioned, I mean, I think the key to this investigation really is going to come down to the toxicology and find out what's in the system, whether there was something in either of their systems or not. But that's, you know, about 6 weeks out. So in the meantime, I think it's a lot of fingerprinting, a lot of trace evidence in the house to find out there was anybody else in the house. I mean, it does not seem at this point as foul play, but you want to be able to eliminate the possibility of that. So that's what I would do if I was managing this crime scene. So fingerprints, any kind of evidence. I know that the reporting has been that there was no sign of foul play, but, you know, considering the condition that the bodies were in when found, if there was any kind of bruising or anything like that, that would be very hard to detect outside of a autopsy. Clearly, there was no gunshot, no stabbing wounds and things like that. But still, it would be something that you would also want to just be able to eliminate, to say, as a cause of death.
So the authorities have said there were no signs of trauma. And it seems they've moved away from foul play. They won't fully take it off the table, but it feels like they've pretty much eliminated that. So I want to talk to you about the elements here in that house that might lead you to something, because people are talking about this. Gene Hackman, if, you know, without knowing for sure, it feels like something very sudden happened to him, that he was either coming in or coming out because his sunglasses had been on, and somehow he collapses or falls to the ground and the sunglasses fall off. So then you have the wife, and there are a couple of ideas here. One is, if the wife actually saw him fall, she would have called 911, because even if he showed no signs of life, they could revive him. So what some people are talking about is maybe she wasn't around. Maybe she was in another part of the house. It's a 6,000 square foot house. She may have been outside. At some point, maybe she walks in and then sees there is no hope because she didn't call 911. And now you find her in a bathroom with pills scattered all over the place. And you know that a dog died. And you don't know why that dog died. Did it ingest something, one of the pills? We don't know. Are there breadcrumbs here that give you any working theory?
Well, the thing that is really mystifying is that, let's say, for example, that Gene Hackman had a heart attack, he collapses, she's unaware until it's too late, right? She walks in, she sees him, she realizes he's dead, and now she's distraught, and it's sort of like a Romeo-Juliet situation where she does not want to live without him and decides that she wants to commit suicide. And so she goes and she takes the pills. So far, so good. Here is the thing that's mystifying, and that is that with the pills on the floor, shattered and her collapsing, and according to reporting, it appears that she too, fell. It's not like she sat on the floor and then slowly slumped, but that she, like Hackman, fell. And so if you do an OD on any kind of pills, opioids, or anything else like that, it takes a while for that to kick in and for you to become ill or to die. Based on how the situation in the bathroom is described, it's almost like it was instantaneously. I can't think of any substance other than cyanide or maybe fentanyl, but even so, still cyanide, where the moment you ingest it, you collapse and you die. And then it would make sense if you're holding the pills that they would fall and scatter about the floor. So that's the part that really doesn't make sense to me right now.
What if, and again, we don't know, but, I don't know we'll ever know this, but what if your theory is right, but she had actually taken something and then gone to the bed, say, and didn't know whether it was going to work or not, but then goes back into the bathroom when she's already dizzy.
Goes back for more. She's already halfway there.
And collapses.
And that's the moment.
Yeah, and that is clearly a possibility, and that would make a lot more sense. So I think because of the lack of toxicology, it's we can theorize, but we definitely have some missing information. And so based on what the crime scene looks like right now, there is a lot of missing pieces, right? And so we're left to theorizing. And so I agree. I think that something happened to Gene Hackman, and he died first, and she shortly thereafter made this decision that she did not want to live either. That seems like the most likely scenario to me at this point.
How long does it take to get all the toxicology back and until you think that we might have some real answers here?
I know it's going to take several weeks. It depends a little bit on the resources of the lab in New Mexico. I'm almost certain that this case will take priority of any other homicides or anything else that's going on right now in that jurisdiction. But that said, still, it's going to take a couple of weeks.
You think it's possible we're not going to really know?
Well, that's a difficult question to answer. I think that if there's nothing in the toxicology, right, let's say it comes back and it's negative, then it becomes really an interesting mystery, because then then things aren't adding up. My feeling is that something will come back on that toxicology, and that will really give us the answers that we're looking for right now.
And more on her than him.
Yes, although I do think it would be, well, we still need to know what happened to him. Was it a heart attack?
Right. And they probably know that by now because they've done the autopsy.
You would think, right? And so I'm sure that they're waiting to get everything together before they present it to us. But, I mean, the first go-to logical answer would be it's probably a heart attack, a stroke, something like that. But, you know, we could recognize there are other ways that this could have gone down. I mean, maybe he was informed that he had some terminal illness and decided that maybe he wanted to take something first and didn't know how he was going to react and thought, well, it's not really working. I'm going to go get some more, and then collapsed, right? Sort of a similar theory as we have with her.
Right.
So, I mean, there are actually many ways of how this could have unfolded. Although I think the most logical one is that he had a heart attack or a stroke.
Yeah.
Former LAPD Detective Nanette Toosby, thanks so much for sharing your insights.
Great talking to you again.
As always, my pleasure.
Thanks, Nanette. Okay.
Up next.
Get ready. Buckle your seatbelts.
If you're a Bravo fan, you're probably going to enjoy what happened at the White House today. But this wasn't just some reality show. This is potentially about peace and war. We're talking about Donald Trump versus Volodymyr Zelensky. Stay with us. Welcome back to TMZ Live. An update on a story we first talked about yesterday involving Lil Baby, the rapper who is from Atlanta, went back to his hometown to shoot a music video in May of last year. Then in July of last year, there was a shooting where 2 teenagers were killed, and police in Atlanta are now suggesting that those 2 things are related.
I think they're more than suggesting. They're laying it at Lil Baby's doorstep.
Essentially saying that he went to a neighborhood where he knew there was gang violence. It created even more gang violence, which resulted in the death of these kids. Take a look at what law enforcement there is saying.
Lamont Freeman was allowed to be a 13-year-old for 27 minutes before gang violence ultimately took his life. And cowardly acts of an Atlanta-based rapper that decided to go over into a rival gang stronghold and shoot a music video in a place that he knew he should not have been. And in the subsequent days, we saw homicides and shootings, and ultimately the deaths of 2 children as a result of his cowardly actions. And you know who you are. And I tell you that this team will work relentlessly to hold you and the persons that you are affiliated with responsible for those actions.
I got to say, when you listen to the police chief, he is clearly saying that Lil Baby is a suspect who could be charged for these murders. I mean, how else do you interpret that if he's saying, I assure you, you will be held accountable? He's holding a news conference. You know, it's almost like, you know, we've seen situations where a singer goes to a mall and causes a riot, and they've actually tried to charge the singer.
But to say Lil Baby would intentionally put himself in the harm's way of bullets is kind of crazy, and that's what his attorneys are, you know, sharpening back. You know, like if you live in the Atlanta area, you know, they've been trying to make a case on Lil Baby for a while, and the incident that they're saying didn't even happen on the same day. You know, there was a shooting
several days later.
Yeah, so to say Lil Baby would intentionally cause a gang war for shooting a music video is kind of a crazy scenario.
So, Trent, they're insinuating, I mean, I don't know how else to take it. They're insinuating Lil Baby is part of a rival gang.
You know, it's funny. They're talking about 4PF. Lil Baby actually distanced himself from that organization last year. So, you know, if there's any issues with that org, you know, Lil Baby acknowledged it and backed away from it.
And Trent, I know you are hearing from Lil Baby's attorney. What's he saying?
They're slamming the Atlanta Police Department. They're feeling like they're targeting Lil Baby because it's celebrity. You know, like, again, to say that he would intentionally cause gun gunfire that could get him killed or his crew killed. You know, there's other essential music industry producers and videographers on the shoot. So to put all them in harm's way just to tease a rival gang is a far-fetched scenario. That's what the attorneys are saying.
Hi, my name is Seattle Washington from Greensboro, North Carolina, and I have to side with the Atlanta Police Department on this one. I think that the Lil Baby was irresponsible for having the music video where he chose to have it. He knew that he would not receive a positive response, so he should hold some accountability.
Wow.
It'll be interesting to see what happens and if that DA is on the same page.
That is really shocking. Okay, we're going to take a break.
Up next, we take you to Ole Miss, where there has been this story that has gone viral involving this girl, and it all may be misinformation. We're getting to the core of what really happened here when we come back. Having the ultimate reality show moment in front of the entire world, and the stakes could not be higher.
And I got to say that, and again, I really understand to some extent why Donald Trump doesn't want to call Putin names, doesn't want to call him a dictator. I get it if he's really trying to negotiate. But what I take away from this is there is an underlying disdain Donald Trump has for Zelensky. Just an absolute disdain.
No question. I mean, Trump kind of trolled him even as he pulled up to the White House about not wearing the suit.
Right.
But you've got to also remember it was late September and Zelensky was campaigning in Pennsylvania for Kamala Harris. So, of course, you know where Zelensky stands. He doesn't like Trump, and Trump obviously doesn't like him.
Should that be a part of the calculation in trying to get peace?
No. In a perfect world, no. But presidents are people, and people have feelings about other people, and it's hard to not let that sort of creep into how you feel about somebody. I really don't put this on Trump today. I think that Zelensky, he knew that the media was there, and he was going to use that moment in the Oval Office to try and score some points against Donald Trump. I think it's going to backfire on him. They never signed the deal. They didn't have the press conference.
Backfire on who?
He thinks
on Zelensky.
Really?
On Zelensky. Oh, yes, big time.
I mean, Trump is basically saying you don't have the cards, that we have the leverage. That's Trump's main point. And in a lot of fact, he's true. The other thing about Trump, though, he is articulating the voices of his base. You don't understand how much anger there is among his base and disdain for a lot of this Ukraine funding among certain people that like Trump. Not the old school country club Republicans, but a lot of the populists that support Trump. He's giving voice to what they think.
I think that's true, but I also think Donald Trump's stock and trade right now is that he says he's a peacemaker, and he says he can make deals. Look, I knew Trump long before he ran for office. Deals matter to him about as much as anything. If he fails on this deal, even if it's Zelensky's fault, it falls on Trump.
Let's show what Donald Trump has said since then. He put out a statement on Truth Social saying, "It's amazing what comes out through emotion. I have determined that President Zelensky is not ready for peace if America is involved because he feels our involvement gives him a big advantage in negotiations. I don't want advantage. I want peace. He disrespected the United States of America and its cherished Oval Office. He can come back when he is ready for peace."
I don't understand. You disrespected the United States in the Oval Office because Vance berated him for that. And I'm not sure I understand the disrespect if he was talking about the way he sees the peace negotiation.
Hi, I'm Kimberly. I'm from Florida. And I think a lot of this is funny. I think Donald Trump talking about peace is funny because I don't think anyone on the planet thinks that Donald Trump is going to bring us world peace. I think it's funny that he was offended by the way the Ukrainian president was dressed when Elon Musk sits in the Oval Office with a trucker
Good
hat
point.
on every day. It's absolutely insane. But it was interesting for once to hear Donald Trump speak up because since he's gotten office, he's been very submissive, very quiet, and watching other men speak for him. Vance, and Elon. So it was interesting to see him speak up for himself for once. Vance is a joke. He's puffing up his chest. He's trying to act like this big guy anytime someone's in the room. If I'm the loudest in the room, everyone's going to pay attention. It's all a joke. And I think this is all just fake. Just tell us that you love Russia. This is a fake argument to me. Just say you love Russia. Stop trying to bring fake arguments and fake disrespect.
Yeah. The problem is it's not a reality show and it's not a joke. There are real consequences, and there's a lot of lives on the line.
I got to say, I watched this on CNN, and they brought in Christiane Amanpour, and literally, they'll make a meme out of this. They cut to her right after the whole fiery exchange, and she had her hands on her face like this, and her mouth was like... I mean, literally, I've never seen anything like it. It was unbelievable. Yeah. Okay, we're taking a break.
When we come back, an update on the Lil Baby story. His attorneys blasting police in Atlanta, suggesting that he's in some ways responsible for a murder. You got to hear what he has to say when we come back. All right, there's been this big story coming out of Ole Miss where this 18-year-old named Mary Kate Cornett has this online rumor start out of nowhere. She's dating a guy named Evan, and the rumor is that she was sleeping with Evan's father. This may have started as a fraternity prank, and it went crazy viral.
And they're saying that Evan is still with her.
Evan's still with her. Evan says this didn't happen. The father says this didn't happen. She feels bullied and harassed. This story has gone all over the world. Pat McAfee has talked about this via his show. Antonio Brown, who's not exactly known for the highest reporting standards, has been talking about this. And you feel for her. And now she's and her team are fighting back.
Well, Elex and Harvey, they've gone to the FBI. They've gone to the Oxford Police Department. Somebody's going to get sued, and somebody might be going to jail. The investigators, though, aren't sure who they're looking for, because this is a ghost world, if you will, of AI. Did a computer make this up? Did somebody hiding behind a keyboard make it up? It was really nasty stuff, and I had a chance to speak to her mom and dad last night. They are with her in Oxford. They jumped on a plane from Houston and flew right over as soon as she made the phone call. She said she saw it on Yik Yak, but this thing spread throughout Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, and now the family has hired legal representation because they are planning on going after whomever's behind this, because not only do they malign this beautiful young lady's reputation, but somebody made a buck off of it because they started a meme coin, and it's unclear at this point how much money was made.
Well, they should be able to find out who's behind the meme coin, right?
Well, you would think so. The FBI is now apparently working with the United States Secret Service and their Electronic Crimes Task Force on this. We got a hold of the police report yesterday, which was given to us by Justin, her father, who said, look, I'm just ripped up. My daughter's 18. She's beautiful. This has just ruined her freshman year. And then there's this young man, Evan. The rumors about his father and his girlfriend are just salacious and nasty. They're trying to keep their heads up through this right now, but they're really looking to law enforcement to get to the bottom of this. It's so dangerous, guys, that apparently there is now special protection for both of them on the Ole Miss campus.
Why are they being threatened?
No one's quite sure. She can't figure out why anybody would want to go after her. The young man isn't sure why. From what I understand, the cops are looking into the background of the parents who have a career in banking. They're pulling out all the stops to get to the bottom of this because it flared up so fast and was so nasty and spread all over the world so quickly, and they maintain none of it is true.
You wonder, especially for this generation of Gen Z growing up in this world of AI, and you think about for them how difficult it's going to be to sort what is true and what is not true, and how quickly things can spread online where there's really no way to verify almost anything.
Well, Elex, it's funny because in reporting this story, I actually had to have the uncomfortable conversation with mom and dad that I had to prove they are her parents. And I had to have proof that she actually is enrolled in Ole Miss. Because there are so many falsehoods. I mean, anybody can post anything on the internet. It's up to us as journalists to get to the bottom of whether it's real or whether it's a lie. So there's a lot to unpack here.
Are Mary-Kate and Evan still together?
As far as we know, yes. But they are going through a horrible time right now with just you remember what it was like on college campuses. Kids talk. Kids have talked a lot of smack, and it's just really ugly.
So it seems to me that by doing a counteroffensive, it at least puts a narrative out there that it's BS. That if you just kind of sit back, everybody's going to believe it. But at least if they are aggressive and they say, we're going after whoever started it and the FBI's involved, it at least gives people pause, even if they can't find the culprit.
Well, Justin Cornett, the father, said he got on the first plane, flew out there to be with his daughter to make sure that she was safe. And then they all went together to the Oxford Police Department to make the report. The Oxford Police Department connected them with the FBI and in the Crimes Task Force in Houston. And now this is a federal investigation.
Wow.
Nobody should have to go through this.
My name is Rebecca, and I'm from Orlando, Florida. And I think that these rumors really have the potential to ruin many lives. And I think that it is so great that Mary-Kate and her family have obtained legal counsel, because this has just snowballed out of control. And I think in regard to these men with these large platforms that are talking about this as if all of the information is verifiably true, should be absolutely ashamed of themselves.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
So today in the morning meeting that we had, one of the people in our office, Courtney, just railed on Justin Timberlake for canceling his show in Columbus 12 minutes before he was supposed to go on.
And the second time he's canceled a show in Columbus.
In Columbus.
Yeah.
So he's saying he had the flu. And I was saying to her, why would you not believe that? And she was just not having it. And she said, he should have canceled earlier. But it's like, if you have the flu, you want to, I've lost my voice this week. And I'm trying. And I wasn't sure if I was even going to be able to do this today. But you
Alex,
try until you can. I'm serious. You try until the last minute when you can't. And
well, here's the thing, Harvey. He did try, because, he did this whole dress rehearsal. Apparently, he struggled to even get through that. He is very apologetic in his post, saying that, he is going to give everybody refunds. But Alex, kind of like you mentioned, this is the second time he's done this specifically to Columbus, because the last time was just at the end of last year. And he said that he had bronchitis and laryngitis, so he could not sing at all. This time he said it was the flu. Unclear, by the way, if it's maybe the stomach flu. Like, what if the guy is rushing to the bathroom every couple minutes? That would be hard to get through a full concert.
And that could come at the last minute, too.
Right.
You eat something bad and all of a sudden you're out.
Well, and the flu is going around right now, but he has not rescheduled, which is interesting. It's sort of like, at a point, it's just Columbus is not meant for him.
It feels like he needs to do a free show for Columbus at this point, right?
That would be a really good idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've been talking for months now about these tariffs. And it's all kind of this theoretical thing that 25% from Mexican goods and Canadian goods. Who pays for this? We are going to bring Damon John on to talk about whether you get stuck with it or somebody else does. Welcome back to TMZ Live. So, tariffs loom. It looks like Donald Trump is going to impose tariffs on China, Canada, and Mexico. So we're talking with Mexico and Canada up to 25%.
If they happen.
If they happen. And
that might be a negotiating tactic. China thing's already happened. Mexico and Canada may not happen. We'll see.
But there's a real chance it does. So everybody's talking about this. Nobody is being clear on who pays this. I mean, are we going to have to pay 25% more? Is this something that's absorbed by the other country, by the service providers in the United States, or does it come down to us? That's a huge question right now with inflation looming and everything else. So we are going to follow the money as we always do. Bringing back Damon John. Damon, welcome back to TMZ Live. Where are you?
Thank you for having me. I am at Lake Nona Impact Forum in Orlando talking about biohacking, longevity, and how people can live longer in life, and what a lot of the big companies are doing who actually care, want to create change.
So, real basic for people that may not be big finance people. What is a tariff?
All right, basically a tariff is a tax. That's all it is, really. You know, when you go to the airport and you see duty free and you bring it in because it's duty free, it is a tax, and it is paid for by the end user here. So when it comes from overseas customs, you pay a tax. So when they say 25% coming out of things in China or in Mexico or this and that, there's 25% more. So argument's sake, you know, something that costs 75 cents or 80 cents, whatever the case is, would cost $1. That's going to be passed on to the consumer at the end of the day in most cases. And you think it's just one more dollar. No, well, if you pay $4 for something, you're charging the store $8. The store is charging $16. So if you're paying $5 for it, well, there you have it. It's now $20. What was once $16.
So one of the things Trump has said is that if you impose these tariffs, the goods that come in from China and Mexico and Canada are going to be more expensive, opening the door for America to manufacture these goods cheaper. The thing that I wonder about is we're not a manufacturing country anymore. We're a service country. So can that actually happen?
Yeah, but when you look at things like these little boat houses, they should put 30, 40, 50% tariffs on those because they come in, they take away jobs of people who can build homes. But also, there are things that we don't want made in this country. Let them destroy their other countries with those plastics and those type of things. We don't want those factories here. So also, that's a challenge. On the other hand, though, are they going to give incentives to companies and American-made companies to give them tax incentives? If you're going to employ 1,000 people here, well, I should get a discount for doing that because I'm employing more people. So this is going to go on for a long period of time. So that's the bigger problem. And sometimes the manufacturer overseas will say, I'll absorb that cost, and you can then keep it at the price that you want. So we go against a lot of different things here. But at the end of the day, this is what it is. It is a tax.
So the biggest thing that people talked about in the last election was that they wanted cheaper prices, that was what a lot of this election was about. Will this make my cost less, or will this actually make stuff that I go and buy in the store more expensive?
Your cost will be less for more American-made products, but and that is a lot of time. That's some manufacturing of clothing, apparel, and some other things. But other than that, it is going to be more expensive. You will be paying $900 for a GI Joe.
You know, it would seem that if these tariffs really do get imposed, the door opens for a place like India to come in and say, we don't have the tariffs, and they could actually fill that gap and really provide goods in the United States where they weren't able to before.
I think this is a great conversation to have because it's going to make people competitive. They're going to make other countries competitive. They're going to say, hey, we want to join. We want to give you more things. Or people actually can bring things in. They can assemble it here. They can do it in parts. You know, I got to tell you, I always do my research. There is a great book by one of my buddies who explains how to do all this, whether you're a manufacturer or whether you're an end-of-the-day customer. His name is Kareem Kafuri, and it is Supply Chain Ups and Downs. And this is something that it can be either way. Listen, it's not about what you accept, it's about what you negotiate. So whether you are a manufacturer, a supplier, and you're getting something from one of these countries, you tell them they got to put it in their system and you pay that cost. I'm not passing it on to my customer. Or whether you're a customer, you walk in and say, well, you better start getting cheaper goods or you better start making it here because then I'm not going to mess with you. Because at the end of the day, it's all about follow the money.
What's the target audience for this longevity thing? Do young people come to it, or are they middle-aged? Who's coming to this?
So the audience here was, Dave Asprey, Mark Cuban, Sanjay Gupta, and people that are creating change and positive change, talking to a lot of the drug companies, and then passing that knowledge on and saying, how can we work collectively together?
Wow.
Sounds like this would be a great follow the money segment.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah.
This would be a great follow the money segment, but it'll get super complicated. But you know what? I think Mark had the best points up here. You know, he left last year on Shark Tank because this is his passion. And as he set up on stage, he wants to things up. So it's great, and I love seeing him and seeing what he's doing with Cost Plus Drugs to make sure that people in our country get the drugs that they need and at an affordable price. Because at the end of the day, there's nothing. You're at the mercy of others if you have to pay these absorbent prices, and that's not what we work for. We don't work to take drugs.
Yeah, boy, ain't it the truth. Damon, see you next week. Thanks.
All right, see you next week.
Okay, we are going to take a break. When we come back,
Mark Zuckerberg with quite the birthday present for his wife. He's become the new Benson Boone. We'll show it to you when we come back. Welcome back to TMZ Live. When I think of Mark Zuckerberg, I think rock star. I don't know
Do
about
you really?
Well, apparently he thinks rock star.
He definitely thinks rock star now.
So Mark Zuckerberg is giving his wife, Priscilla, a birthday present, and it's him apparently doing an impression of Benson Boone at the Grammy Awards. Watch this.
Be real for a second. This is not a present for Priscilla. It is a present to himself. This is all about Mark showing off his physique.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you think about the kid who, in the early 2000s was creating Facebook in sort of a social reject at Harvard, and now that's what he's become. It's quite. You think about him, and you think about Bezos and his jacked physique, and all these guys.
Zuckerberg, we know, and we've talked about this before. He wants to fight in the UFC. He wants one fight in the UFC. Dana White is on board. And I know they've been talking about this for a year. And by the way, the thing about the fight between Elon and Musk at the Coliseum,
Zuckerberg, yeah.
Everybody laughed at us when we talked about that. It was real. They were going to do it, and Elon backed out. So that really happened.
It seems like they've gone in different paths in terms of their physiques.
Think?
Zuckerberg.
You think?
And Musk have different dietitians at this point in their lives.
Hi, my name's Lexi. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. 1, I didn't know Mark Zuckerberg had all that personality. 2, if my husband does not do this for me when I'm 40, when I find a husband, I might have to just keep looking for a husband because he just set the bar so high, and I love it.
You really want that for your birthday?
Absolutely. I want him to show his love for me in like a very expressive way.
Well, you just shot your shot on the national TV, so maybe somebody's going to come.
Oh my God!
Through it.
That was a present to himself.
Yeah.
What else you guys want to talk about?
Hi, my name is Sparkle from Wisconsin, and my topic is about the unfortunate passing of Gene. I feel like this is a sad ordeal. No telling how long they were deceased until the autopsy come out. But I pray that the family get answers quick to give them a sense of understanding. And my prayers go out to everybody involved in the situation.
Yeah, it may take a couple months, though, to get an answer. One more.
Hi, I'm Adriana from New York. I'm going to be talking about the Trump and Zelensky story. I think J.D. Vance and Donald Trump sound like those really weird uncles that we all have at the dinner table that we just want to ignore forever. This video was so disappointing to watch. They're so disrespectful, and that behavior is not appropriate in the Oval Office or anywhere. It was very disappointing and embarrassing to watch.
But, I agree with you. I think there is going to be 45% support for this, and maybe even more. I think you're right. We're going to take a break.
When we come back, John Stamos getting heckled by his own children. We'll show you why. We know that John Stamos has been associated with the Beach Boys for decades. And he tried to showcase some of that to his kids. You would hope maybe they would be Beach Boys fans, but apparently not.
Poop song. It smells like a poop. Why this song? Do you guys want to hear some good music?
No, we like this.
Do you guys know this one? This is some real music, you guys.
No, it's not music.
All right, what do you want to hear? Poop songs?
Yes.
Sometimes it's solid, but sometimes it's poop.
I think it's a travesty. These kids don't appreciate the Beach Boys. Sorry. It is a travesty. Thanks for doing